Okay, we are live. Infinite Plane Sunday. Keeps happening. We keep getting pushed back, but no big deal. Sunday, Saturday, what's the difference? Just kind of the weekend. We do a recap. We're going to go ahead and catch up on everything from the previous week. A huge nothing burger. I had a few QAnoners sending me some stuff. Apparently, the Epstein files were going to drop, and they said, this is why Gene Hackman died. The Epstein files. All these people with Epstein files. Like, oh yeah, that day is going to come. And what they don't realize is that the whole Q movement has been nothing but a big Ponzi scheme. Bunch of future faking, really starting from the top. One of the biggest crypto shills on the planet right now would be Trump. But, this Epstein file thing, it's never going to pay off. All the time, energy, attention that has been given to it, you're never going to get your money back. It's a sunken cost. You were wrong. You're never going to be right about Epstein. It's a big nothing burger. And what happened is a bunch of influencers, like right-wing types, said that they were going to be given the files. And all they were given was folders with the already existing released files. So they took old nothing burgers and put them in a new package. And they tried to serve it up. And, all of the QAnon types, all the hopefuls, the clingers to this, were expecting that there's going to be some kind of a, quote, drop and some big information. It was a nothing burger. And look at these headlines. A big nothing burger, while some are disappointed. Trump Epstein file stunt backfires. Nothing burger exposed. It was a PR stunt. MAGA melts down over Epstein document dump. And I think that the Tate brothers just got out. And I believe that they were showing up somewhere in Florida. And I think it's interesting because Andrew Tate and his brother and their rape gangs of tater tots are provably far worse than any of the fictions ascribed to Epstein and Ghislaine. And by the way, Epstein is a huge, he's a friend of Donald Trump's. I mean, he's been at Mar-a-Lago. So if you're going to play guilt by association, you have to play fair. Kevin Morning says, riots at Diddy and Luigi's prison, everyone on lockdown. Diddy, Luigi, Frank James, that's the subway shooter, the prophet of doom, and R. Kelly. I think they're all in the same cell block. Joined by Frugal Snowbird, Diana South, Pert Atkins, Piano, Andente, Esteban, best show in town, he says. Thank you. I'm a good egg, he says. Ears up, Gondola Wish, Ted Stryker says it's about time. Yeah, I've been busy adjusting my circadian rhythm to do a 6 p.m. live stream daily. If I can make it consistent, then I'll just start doing the live stream announcements in the morning with a list of what we're going to talk about. It won't be like a last minute thing. I won't keep you on the edge of your seats. And I'm also setting up time twice a week to do writing and animation sessions for the South Pole cartoon. So if you want to be in on a writing session, brainstorming, whatever we're going to do, just get on the newsletter. So we do have a Discord server for South Pole. And the first episode is out. It's kind of a pilot for this new season. Takes on the final experiment. And it has, the thing is, I want to say, there's a disclaimer. There may be some resemblances in this cartoon to people in the real world, but those are purely coincidental. Possibly even evidence of a simulation, but those are merely coincidences. And there's only a handful of people so far who have seen it. If you go to your inbox, you can buy a ticket, or you can wait until it gets released to the membership on Wednesday. And then a week later, it will go public. And we're doing premieres and private screenings for a few reasons. And one of them is just to fund the project and all the associated software. Donna South said, I appreciate the cartoon. I'm not going to give out any spoilers, other than it deals with the final experiment, and it actually has to do with Epstein. I try to keep these things current. I like to keep them up to date and also have some predictability in there, and you'll see. Jamarian May, thank you for joining. Deprogram Truther, Wake Soto. All right, let's see. Frugal Snorbert says 8 p.m. Eastern works for me. Yeah, it's a good time slot, and if I'm predictable about it, I think we'll get a lot further. I mean, we are a research community and it has to be consistent. So let's go ahead and see what's in my notes. Now, I just saw this thing here, pray for South Carolina, and I see fire. Before you send your loosh, before you send your thoughts and prayers, make sure it's not AI. You can't trust anything. Erica Creech said Epstein had to leave the stage in such a lame way, attempting suicide twice while being observed for suicide prevention in jail. Nothing to see here. Well, that's a guardrail, though. You're meant to think the Clintons had him killed. That's how they think. That's how they treat these things. It's like the story's going to always lead one side to a predetermined conclusion. It's a cover up, but it's a big nothing burger again. And how many hours are people going to waste looking into this stuff, lining up for it? I saw this tweet by like George News, very influential among Q people, and they said in all caps, "This changes everything." No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Make a meme coin about it. It's the only way you're going to get something out of it. And these meme coins are all scams. Well, not all, but there's a structure here where it's very conducive to scamming. And I just recently watched one. So one of Elon Musk's baby's mamas had an old Twitter account with an embarrassing handle, and Milo Yiannopoulos turned it into a meme coin. And I watched the market cap go from like 30,000 to 100,000, and I saw all this money just go up. And then at the last minute, I was like, okay, it's going to probably stop once it reaches one digit up. It all just disappeared. So somebody just pocketed a bunch of people's money. It's kind of like playing the lottery. But I think there's a reason why this crypto madness has really saturated the alt-right media, because I think a lot of the Great Awakening, a lot of Trump's sales pitch actually taps into this Ponzi scheme mentality, where now you're insiders with secret knowledge, specifically Q, and your secret knowledge will be worth a lot more in the future. Some of them even believe in fantasies like Nasara and Gasara, magic words that will fill up your bank account with just limitless money. I love those people who are like, oh yeah, your social security number is actually it's an account and your livestock, and you can cash it in for $5 billion. It's like, well, why haven't you done it? You have this experts who will sell you pamphlets on how to cash in on your social security number for millions, and they've never done it. That always puzzles me. I had some caller once try to tell me that I was a punk and I was a slave to Big Brother because I have a driver's license and a license plate. And I'm like, do you have a license plate? And he says, yeah. It's like, what? Or McToon. McToon, by the way, who happens to be in South Pole. McToon said to me, you could just go outside and look at the ISS. It's right up there. Just look. And I asked him, have you seen the ISS? And he said no. Yeah, if you want to comment, comment below. 0 Point Aries, another fire. Okay, thank you for that notification. If you text me at the number on the screen, I actually get a notification here too. I didn't notice it was popping up here. If you leave a comment below the video, I will hand out a wrench. Whether you ask for one or whether you don't. J.D. Vance protested. So I've been saying for months now that there are no Poes on the left. That the right wing, you need parodies in order to carry these unbelievable talking points. People like Nick Fuentes who don't believe anything that they say. People like Candace Owens who don't believe anything they say. They just get paid to say whatever. They're just paid shit posters. Stu Peters probably believes half of what he says. But the left, they're all true believers. They're what I call MSM true believers. What defines the political right media, and specifically alt media, is their assumption that the leftist media has the state behind it. It's state-controlled media. And that's mostly true. And what I'm noting here is that the left is far easier to rile up. So J.D. Vance and his family were going out skiing, and they had miles of protesters. In fact, I think they had to, it says Vance and his family arrived in, it was Warren, Vermont. A ski trip. And there were protesters, a mile-long line of protesters. Footage captured on the ground shows hundreds lining the streets of the town with signs labeling Vance as Nazi scum. Another one saying ski in Russia. So he was ambushed. And those were not crisis actors. Those were not agents or operatives. These are just regular people. So just a heads up. I think the left could be goaded into an actual French Revolution style mass decapitation party. Erica Creech says Tim lost the debate with McToon. No, actually, I did not lose the debate with McToon. McToon said that's not my claim. McToon could not defend the existence of the ISS. He lost. He said, I'm not claiming the ISS is there. That's NASA's claim. I cannot defend my claims. I have not seen it. McToon admitted he lost, and they would not acknowledge media fakery as a thing. They just pretend it doesn't exist. And so if media fakery does not exist, if NASA does not or cannot lie, if that's your starting point for your debate, then you're pretty much not objective enough to even debate the facts. They could not explain the smudge on the lens, Smudgegate. They cannot explain any of it. So no, actually he refused the debate. McToon is I would say coward, but they're just dismissive about it. They have no clue. They say that, the belief that there are special effects being used in space is merely an argument from incredulity. It's like, looks fake isn't an argument, they'll say. And sadly, that's true. It looks fake isn't enough. It's never enough. You have to have informed disbelief. You can't just say, it feels fake to me. But you shouldn't also say it feels real to me, or it's automatically presumed real unless it's proven to be false. So no, these individuals live in the box. They're Truman in the Truman Show. And besides this, what would I care about the opinions of an MSM true believer? These individuals believe in the official story of fill in the blank. They believe every single headline. They're completely in the box. That debate was a couple of years ago. Then I tried to talk to Fight the Flat Earth, and he started crying tears when I brought up the Challenger explosion and said it was a hoax. He cried about it. It's like, it's good news. These people aren't dead. They get mad about it. Same thing with that shooting. You're like, hey, these kids aren't really dead. And they cry about it. It's like, wait, you were crying because they're dead. Now you're crying because I'm saying they're not dead. Like, do you want them dead? So you can grandstand atop a pile of corpses? Which is what they usually want. Jamarian May says, Tim, what do you think about the man-child that spends all the time and money collecting video games from their youth? Haven't met any. I mean, I like Tetris, but I don't spend a lot of time on it. I liked it, I should say. I'm not a video gamer, so I'm not totally objective in this, and I'm not dismissive of it either because it's totally immersive and the stories are better than ever. I'm not so sure about these nostalgia games. I'm not a huge fan. Although Luigi shirts are very popular now. Believe it or not, that CEO Killer has made Luigi into a very popular figure. And at the mall here, they have Luigi mashed with Luigi Mangione holding an AK-47, which isn't what he used. But it's kind of funny. It's like right there. It's on the kiosks. And nobody cares. I mean, nobody sees anything wrong with it. The cultural default is open season on CEOs. That's why whenever there's a tragedy, I'm like, let's not react yet. Like, for example, they said, there's this big fire in South Carolina. It's like, well, before we get mad about it or sad about it, let's just make sure that those homes weren't the homes of CEOs. It might be justifiable arson. If we're going to justify murder and stuff based on someone's place in the class war. Charles Smith says, have you heard about the Russian movie filmed on the ISS in 2023 and the main actress got an award for it by Putin? Yeah, it was called The Challenge, or The Call. The Challenge, The Call Out. I think it translates to The Challenge. I think it related to... there's a few things about that one. I haven't seen it, though. I want to see it. They beat Tom Cruise. So it was a race to see who could film a movie in the space station first, and they actually beat him. And Tom Cruise is going to film a movie on the ISS when they build the movie set in the ISS. So it's not a movie about the space station, but it's going to be a movie about a regular guy who saves the world It's just the only information I've been able to find on this upcoming Tom Cruise movie, and I'm just really interested in how they're going to do his hair, because the space station is going to have a movie studio in it, and whatever comes out of the movie studio can't make the space station look fake because it already looks fake. So they're either going to have to dumb down their graphics, or I don't know. It's a conundrum. Like, how is Tom Cruise not going to make it look realer than the ISS? It doesn't make sense. A huge dose of cognitive dissonance incoming. But how are they going to do his hair? Because on the ISS, they just hairspray it and they stick it straight up. What are they going to do with him? Is it going to wave around with CGI? And if so, I'm going to say, why would they use CGI? He's in space. Just let space cause his hair to wave around. So we'll see. I had this question back when the ISS movie was going to come out. It came out 1/19 on the 19th of January of 2023. And I was asking, what are they going to do with the hair? And it turns out they slicked it all back. There was not one loose hair on ISS. No, I think it came out last year. If you haven't seen it, it's a terrible movie, but it's about Russia and America, mutually assured destruction, nuclear war, and they fight for control of the space station. Jay Digg says, I didn't believe there was a light in the sky called the ISS until after McToon admitted he had never seen it. Then I went out and saw it. Well, I don't think you saw it. And the thing is, I could say I saw a unicorn, and that has equal weight to your claim. You could say you saw a chemtrail. You could say whatever you want, but unless you have date, time, location, direction, and metadata, you cannot claim it to be the ISS. You can say I saw a UFO. That's not really a fair claim, because we're inserting into the conversation something that hasn't been demonstrated to exist. Because you saw a light and you're confused about it doesn't make it credibly a UFO claim. Nor is any light in the sky a credible ISS claim unless you have all that information. So I reject those claims just as a matter of practice. And if you're asserting those claims without supplying the evidence, it's going to be rejected. It needs to be rejected. We need to reject all claims that aren't presented with evidence. If there's an extraordinary claim being made, the burden of proof is not yours. And the mass media has tricked people into accepting it. And if you're not given that burden of proof, you're free to dismiss the claim. Hitchens razor. Eric Stevens says, love the new phone number icon. Oh yeah, agent standing by, that would be me. What's up, Rafe Harstad? Critterfest Sanctuary. Tom Smith. Tom Cruise has 2 movies underwater and in the skies. Yeah, there's some underwater stuff going on. There's a movie with, I think it's, is it Woody Harrelson? I'll have to see. There's another movie with some deep sea rescue. And we were recently talking about these interesting correlations, like with the Titan submersible that imploded. James Cameron and his deep sea dives. And then his movie The Abyss. There's been these interesting correlations between space and the oceans. And it may even connect with what's going on now with the stranded astronauts who went up in the Calypso on their space Odyssey Calypso. The nymph who kept Odyssey stranded. I thought, okay, there might be something here in the Odyssey subtext with these astronauts being stranded. So what's next? And it turns out that Christopher Nolan is directing the Odyssey right now, the movie. And he's one of the big meta scripters. So anyway, in the big story, we have seen some interesting correlations between the two. And most of the ufology right now seems to be honing in on this idea that the extraterrestrials are from deep beneath us in the oceans. But their evidence is just as sparse. It's all hearsay. Or they're referencing something somebody said they saw on a radar, like they saw a blip. It's not like they're actually having eyeball to craft observations. Plain Dakota says, Tim, you saw the 2 videos I sent you with the tracking app. Name, spot the station. You can do it too. Hey, I heard that the magical enchanted forest out there has unicorns. You can go see them too. You see how that works? When you shift the burden of proof, you make it sound like it's fait accompli. Oh, it's done. Of course there's unicorns. You can go see them. Of course there's a Pokemon behind the dumpster. You can see it on the app. Sorry, the app's not evidence. And instead of saying, you can do it too, how about, here is my irrefutable evidence? Debunk this. Instead of presenting me with evidence, you're presenting me with the burden of proof. That's backward. So no, you can have it back. Awake Souls, is Elon going to be responsible for decommissioning the ISS? Yeah, he's going to be paid $843 million to tow it down to Earth. And the reason why they're doing this, and he says he wants to do it now, NASA wants to wait until 2030. And I think the reason why he wants to do it now is they want to go to Mars. And I've said before, I said this like back in 2020, I said the limiting factor for space exploration is not technology, it's special effects. And as long as you have this jalopy stuck in like 2005 Final Cut Pro special effects, green screen glitches, until you get rid of that, you can't have the Mars bases. And they know this. This is why Trump took the petrified wood out of the Oval Office, no more moon rock, because they're focused on Mars. But they can't go to Mars until they've done away with these outmoded special effects and bring in the surround screen LED, like was used to simulate Antarctica in the final experiment. According to some people. I'm still thinking about it. I haven't made up my mind. I'm still shape ambivalent, and I haven't decided what I think about the final experiment. I don't trust any of the people that went, but that's not good enough. But I still don't. I still think it's fishy. Plain Dakota says, I sent you the video. Look, here's the thing. The reason why I don't accept your evidence or your observation is that we just had a mass panic globally centered around New Jersey where thousands of people reported seeing drones. Weeks and weeks of people saying we're being invaded by drones. They're coming from China. They're bringing nukes. I'm getting sick from the drones because they're hunting for a nuke and therefore there's radiation poisoning. And people were getting psychosomatic illnesses. It's like drone sickness. It turns out that none of the drones were real. It was a mass panic. And Mick West showed up on CNN and he said, on any of these claims for a light in the sky to be something other than a plane, you must supply metadata, and we must cross-reference it with existing air traffic. And in every instance, he debunked every single drone sighting. So these drone sightings might have been people who truly believed they were seeing something otherworldly, a drone out of the ocean, something from a thriller. But every single time, the evidence just didn't substantiate their claim. And so you may very well believe, I want to believe that you saw the ISS. I see a spacecraft, or I see a light in the sky that moves in a way commensurate with the spacecraft going, 19,000 miles per hour or whatever. But the thing is, that's not good enough evidence. We need to be able to cross-reference it. Otherwise, how do you arrive at truth if your bar of evidence is super low? And if you truly believe it, you'll do the extra evidence. And so you can't say there's a light in the sky that's not the ISS. That is discrediting. You're saying you don't want to be self-discrediting. It's self-discrediting to say, I see the light in the sky, it matches the app, but I don't believe in the ISS. I'm sorry, but there is nothing. It is not even possible. There is nothing that can meet those transit points on the 93-minute orbit. There's nothing that can do that, man-made or otherwise. There's no craft that could do that. Like, if there is something meeting those transit points, it would have to be in space because the atmosphere would preclude something going that fast. That's the main issue. There's no airplane, there's no drone that can simulate that speed. It's just not possible. So the only way that I will accept evidence of an ISS is if you have two observers, and they have to be at least 50 miles apart so we can triangulate. Because from that distance, you will be able to tell, are we looking at a light 30,000 feet up or 284 miles? And it would be very easy to rule out airplanes and to rule in something far above our atmosphere with two observers. And I cannot find two believers who will go out and do the work. I did it, myself and actually Mazelle's here. Mazelle's in Denver, I was in Albuquerque. We were looking at the same light or the same transit. She saw a light, I did not. Well, if it was really 200 miles up, we would have seen the same light. And so we had to just say, well, most likely an airplane. But the claim that it's a natural phenomenon being masked as the ISS, I heard that in 2017. That was being spread by, back then, Globebusters, Bob Nodal. Dearth says it. He says, no, there is no ISS, but there's a natural thing that they want to cover up with the space station. It's a natural celestial object. And you say you won't bother to do it yourself. If you really believe that you're seeing a supernatural phenomenon, then make a video about it. I mean, that's big news. You found a unicorn and you're not willing to put it on TikTok for us? If you are willing to say here that you don't believe there's a spaceship, but you do believe that there's a pre-existing natural luminary that is making this exact transit, if you're willing to go that far, then record the thing and display it. I mean, show your evidence. But at this point, it's ufology, and ufology is not even an ology anymore. It's not a study. It's pure superstition. J Dig says, it looks like a plane or a star moving across the sky, starfish, synchro, and I spent the summer trying to get Tim to look, but it was pointless arguing. Look, I spent a lot of time looking at the sky. I made multiple attempts to see it. I didn't see it. Every person says, oh, you can just go out and see it. Well, every time I've tried, I wasn't able to see it. And then they always have some kind of excuse, like, well, you're too close to the city or something. They always have some excuse, but it's like, whatever happened to, it's super easy, look out your window. And again, you're shifting the burden of proof. And I wonder, what is your motivation or your incentive here? If you're going to make a claim, but you're not willing to substantiate it, then what's the point? And it's not my problem. You're saying it's pointless arguing with me? No, it's not pointless arguing with me. It's pointless making bad assertions or bad claims with me. That I will say. You know, I will take any serious evidence seriously, but you got to, come on, be serious. Get 2 observers. Triangulate it. Kevin Mooring says, hey, who believes in satellites? See, I haven't seen one. And a lot of people just lie to conform. I have a book I'm working on. It's a manuscript. It's just a side project. And it ties into this idea of lie world, the lie world order. I'm not going to give the title away because it's catchy. But it has to do with the fact that we've all been turned into liars at different levels. And there are lies people will tell, you know, white lies, comforting lies, unwitting lies, propaganda lies you absorbed, didn't know were lies. And one of these things, one of the points here is about being honest about it. And a lot of people will lie. And they'll say, I saw the ISS, or I know somebody who died on 9/11. And you dig and you find out they didn't actually have anything to substantiate this, but they were saying something to fit in. And I think there's reasons for it. And so there's lowercase lie, capital L lie, all caps lie, different degrees of lying. Plain Decoded, when I have not seen any of your videos. If you want to upload them, one of the videos you sent me, you said that you couldn't give me the coordinates because your wife didn't want to give away your home's location. So if you're afraid of your location being given away, then I understand. But I can't use that evidence. Like, again, I'll put reward money out there. You know, I will put reward money out there. Let's just do it. Let's do this as an IPR investigation. Let's put $500 into a pool here. And if we can get 2 people, 2 true believers, to catch the same ISS transit from 2 different locations at the same time, we will pay out. Chris's wife said, I used SkyGuide and saw a light. Here's the thing. 500,000 people saw drones in January. That's why I'm saying it's not good enough. Axiom 47, Autohoaxology, Axiom number 47 says, any moving light in the sky must be assumed to be an airplane until proven otherwise. So it's on you to prove it wasn't an airplane. So use your SkyGuide app, use your Track the ISS app, and then cross-reference it with any airplane flights at that time. And unless you've done that, you haven't done your due diligence. So no, the app isn't good enough. You need to use your app, and you need to also cross-reference it. Same with chemtrails. If you're going to say there's a chemtrail over my house, I also want to see what planes were there. But anyway, if there was a space station in the last 5 years, I would have been inundated with videos and footage. Somebody somewhere would have taken a picture, a selfie with the ISS flying over their head, you know, flipping me off in the camera like, there's your ISS, IPS. There's the light in the sky. And it's like nobody can do it. Take a selfie with the space station. Smile for the camera with the space station going right over your head as you predicted, as the app predicted. Nobody can do it. And I'm going to continue to deny its existence until somebody can prove otherwise. Blue Ghost. Somebody built a private spacecraft and landed on the moon. Blue Ghost. Did anybody see this? Chris's wife says the space station is on Earth. Yeah, it's in a Hollywood basement. A privately built spacecraft has successfully landed on the moon. Robotic lander Blue Ghost touched down on Sunday. Yeah, this is a private company, and they sent this hunk of crap. I'm sorry, they sent this lander, this Blue Ghost Mission 1 lander with NASA science and technology instruments to the moon. So what does that mean when they say they send NASA science and technology instruments? Certainly not a camera to show us what the Earth looks like from the moon. Not a 24-hour camera. It's going to have a monkey suit, Christmas hats for Christmas, a little kit to build your own pizza in space. I never see them doing any real serious science up there. All right, let's see here. Critterfest says, why is nobody talking about the new fake Earth photos from the Blue Ghost moon? The Earth should be huge, but it's tiny. Yeah, I haven't really spent too much time looking into it. I saw this and I'm just underwhelmed. Same old. But the evidence, I'd be impressed if they send somebody there. But why aren't we having manned missions? It's not because we can't. It's not because it's risky. It's because the special effects. You see, they managed to milk Apollo 11 for like 60 years. And now it's falling apart and nobody cares. And I think that the next time they do some kind of manned landing on the moon or on Mars, they want to be using the next generation of special effects because it's got to last for generations. So it's about to happen. Jacques says, IPS, did you see the ISS guy fall into his pants? That was hilarious. Yeah, it insults our intelligence. We got Don Petit levitating into his pants. So like this is on the ISS. They're relegated to doing magic tricks. These are magic tricks to entertain children. It's not serious. None of it's serious. Don Petit, pantless in space. I couldn't believe this. NASA astronaut caught with his pants down performing bizarre act on the ISS. They never get sick of their innuendo. So here you have Don Petit, and his pants are there, and then he's falling into his pants. Like one of Musk's reusable rockets. He's just like landing perfectly into the thing, if you can believe it. Okay, I'm sorry for that. This is their theme music. Don Petit, Space Station Pants Trick. Okay, so there are people who will argue that this particular trick could only have been done in a zero-G environment. There are people who will die on this hill. They will say there's no way you could fake this with special effects. This is evidence that we're in space. No, this is not evidence that we're in space. In fact, looking at the scale of it, this looks like Final Cut Pro 2005. Like, this is really bad CGI layering. As far as the pants, how do they pull that off? If you're mystified by a trick like this, then you're a child. Like, I'm sorry, you're looking at this like you're a child. You're easily fooled. You're naive. This is easy to do. This is so fakeable. Critterfest says, everybody needs to see it. The Earth seems 2 times smaller than the moon here. I'll take a look, but the thing is, as with any of these things, and it's called, let's see the photo. They'll say it's the focal length of the camera. See Blue Ghost amazing first pics from moon. Okay. So they did do this for us. Earth shines over the moon in amazing first photos. It does look very small. It looks like a little pinpoint of light. It looks nothing like it does in the movies. Like if you've seen Moonfall. So in the movie Moonfall, the moon is actually an ark from some alien civilization, and we're meant to discover it. And on board it has advanced technology, etc. Okay, so look at that. It looks like, yeah. And so the discrepancy here is that the moon is a quarter of the size of the Earth, and it looks like the moon as far as its scale from here. So why wouldn't it be 4 times larger? Very good question. But you know, they don't just haphazardly release this stuff. They do the math, they model it out with a computer, and they create an internally consistent model. So oftentimes, the attempts to debunk it from within will fail. And the people who don't know about space fakery treat this as scientific evidence, and they argue on the basis of it. So that's what I mean when I say someone like McToon is inside the box. Their entire frame of reference assumes the validity of all of its own evidence. It's anti-skeptic, to be honest. But yeah, I agree that this doesn't. And here's what I'm missing out here. I'm kind of not impressed by the moon here, like by the way they represented it. I don't think that the moon is going to disappear just a couple of miles away, if that. I mean, on Apollo 11, my question is, where's the moon? You guys are in a Walmart parking lot. Like, it's not that big of an area. You're inside of a hangar somewhere. But when you get out of a vehicle at night, full moon, and you look out, you see the Earth as far as your eyes can see, and it disappears into the horizon. You have a landscape. Well, here I'm wondering, okay, well, how far are we actually seeing here? With Apollo 11, we didn't see this many craters going into the distance, but I'm still thinking here that there's too much curve. I mean, you're at eye level, maybe 5-6 feet up. I don't think you would see this much curve. Even as small as the moon is purported to be, it's huge from a human's perspective. So I kind of think that we should see a moon going into the horizon with a flat horizon. I think this is like they truncated it. It's too small. I've always had this criticism of how they represent the moon. And it's because they want to really emphasize that it's smaller and all this. But like, where is the moon? We should see miles and miles of terrain. Mango Penguin says, in the movie 2010, hell let them go free because the man was being honest with it. I haven't seen that yet. I'll have to check it out. Diana South says the photo is ridiculous. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous too. But the true believers, their jaws are dropping. They will see this, and they will treat this as evidence. And that's one of my main points here, is that you can't treat everything as evidence, as though the screen is just an argument it's an appeal to an authority. People don't know the TV lies, but the space program is built on visual lies. We're on the moon. Private Blue Ghost spacecraft makes historic lunar landing. Privately built spacecraft. Okay, this is all new. Firefly Aerospace Blue Ghost lander descended from orbit on autopilot, aiming for the slopes of an ancient volcanic dome in an impact. Diana South says, moonscapes, mountains, craters, it should go on much further. Yeah, precisely. Curtifest says, wait, Buzz took a photo of the Earth from the moon and it's like super huge. Yeah, there are certainly discrepancies that are worth looking into. However, you're not going to make any headway with the true believers. They believe everything. In fact, they're so faithful that when NASA had prepared for their Artemis 2 mission, they had to label the simulation an animation. They said, this is an animation. And they showed the rocket on its 42-day trip and how it was going to go and how it's going to come back. And they had to label it as an animation so people wouldn't think that they already went, because the animation looks exactly like the real thing will look. That's what I mean by special effects being a limiting factor. And this is why the ISS has to come down, and why Elon Musk, who's basically just a CGI expert, he's just a space faker. Musk would have a great interest in taking down the ISS so they can move on. Remember, he did Mousegate. Erica Creech says, I saw a light this summer by using the app. We need two of us to see it. Right. Again, I have a friend who saw a drone in New Jersey. I have a friend in Roswell. They saw a UFO. My other friend saw the unicorns. Like, this is all just hearsay. And I hate to be dismissive of it, but, if we don't elevate our standards of evidence, we're going to be submerged in the sea of irrelevance. And what distinguishes us from MSM Plus, from Trutherville, is our standard of evidence. Our high standards of evidence. Infinite Plane Radio.
Hey, dude, are you live?
Yes, we are live. This is Jurassic Liars.
Hold on, man. Hold on, let me shut this off. I wasn't prepared. Sorry. I don't know what I interrupted, man, but I wanted to talk about this. I don't know if you talked about it. This Cody Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes wrestling crap.
No, what's going on with that? And I wanted to ask you one other thing too, but I'll put it in my notes. I'm going to put up on the screen. You said Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, let me just tell you what's going on real quick. So, man, what was the name of the video? I don't know if you can bring it up.
John Cena sells out and assaults. Okay, I see the headlines here. John Cena betrayed Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but there's, I'm not sure exactly what happened in that particular video, but The Rock Johnson asked Cody, oh my God, what was it? He asked him to sell his soul to Cody Rhodes, sells his soul to Rock Johnson, and man, I wish I could.
Okay, that's what. Okay,
the stupid video.
Somebody in the chat said that JC was selling his soul. So New York Post, John Cena teams with The Rock, and okay, so this is what you're talking about. So The Rock, and this is on WWE. This is what I don't know what this is about, but it says John Cena did what was the unthinkable. But what's the code here? I'm seeing some bizarre antics, a bunch of hugging.
Okay. Well, let me just tell you what happened. Let me just say it since we can't see the video. You can bring it up later. So this Cody Rhodes guy, all of a sudden he's got this. I guess he's a big time wrestler. Because I don't know nothing about wrestling. I just know that it has something to do with this June 11th thing. So this Cody Rhodes, all of a sudden, The Rock Johnson, who's known as the final boss, okay, and he tells Cody Rhodes that he wants him to sell his soul to him, okay, or to give him his soul, and then he shows this belt. He has this belt, Rock Johnson, like one of those, wrestling belts, and he shows him, and it says June 11th, 2015 on it, okay?
Oh, okay.
As he's telling him to sell his soul. And the reason he's doing that is because that's the day that Cody Rhodes' father died, okay? And that's why he's got his belt for some reason. It says June 11th, 2015, and he's talking to Cody Rhodes, and that's the reason that the belt says June 11, 2015, because it was Dusty Rhodes was his father, who was also a wrestler. But here's the key. Besides the June 11th, Dusty Rhodes, the wrestler, dies on June 11th. He's known as the American Dream, and his son, Cody, is known as the American Nightmare, okay? So what they're saying is that the American Dream dies on June 11th, and then you got the American Nightmare. Do you get it?
Fascinating. I see that here. The man Rock with the belt with Cody's soul on it and Dusty's rip date, 6/11/2015, master manipulation. Okay, this is some intrigue here. And it says the WWE Hall of Famer passed away on 6/11/2015 due to kidney failure. Rock unveils Cody's soul belt. That is dark.
But can I tell you the rest of it now?
Yeah, now that we have context. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay, now let me tell you why this is important. Because The Rock, it represents Elvis. And who is selling his soul is Trump. Because the guy has blonde hair, dyed blonde hair, the Cody. And The Rock Johnson is obsessed with Elvis. I've shown you that before.
Yeah, let me bring this up really quick because this ties into it. I watched the Elvis movie, and you've been vindicated on that. But right before the Elvis movie, because I was in the theater, they had a trailer for Black Adam starring The Rock. So he's a savior, comes from space or the sky. He's got this lightning bolt on his chest, and then immediately opens to Elvis. And the Elvis movie begins where he's a little kid with the lightning bolt on his chest. And he goes into this revival tent and he starts singing and dancing, and then it goes to where he's working with the electric company. But there's this direct correlation they made in the beginning with Black Adam, the Savior, the Lightning Bolt, and Elvis, right when the movie started. So I've been looking at, and then there's multiple references to The Rock and the Rock of Ages in this Elvis movie. So yeah, this is all really intriguing to me.
Right. So The Rock represents Elvis, who's asking Trump to sell his soul, and because the guy has blonde hair, the Cody guy, and you see the June 11th connection, and The Rock, I told you, is obsessed with Elvis. You know, if you've seen, because I told you he got in front of a bunch of armed forces people dressed as Elvis and sang in front of them, and also in the movie The Game Plan, all the memorabilia in that movie that was about Elvis, it was his memorabilia, most of it, 90% of it, Rock Johnson.
Fascinating. Okay, so this 6/11 date is highly significant, and so this just happened today. And then John Cena, anything to say about this particular individual? I know the JC, obviously, but
Well, he was born in 77. That's all I can tell you about that, because that's the year Elvis died and Seattle flew on the Triple Crown on June 11th. But he was born in 77. He's got the JC initials. Other than that, I don't know what else his connections are.
well, the thing is, okay, first of all, Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's one of them. He's an actor, and the World Wrestling Entertainment has been used as a vector for predictive programming for decades. 33 probably years ago. I mean, how many years ago was it when Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage were talking about destroying the Twin Towers and bringing them down? So this is all very significant. And the 6/11 date on a belt, yeah, that's definitely
Oh,
dark.
I forgot to mention, he beats him. John Cena attacked Cody last night at some event. So John Cena attacks him. I guess I don't know if The Rock had something to do with it or something, that betraying him or something. I'm not sure. So what he did was Rock Johnson starts after John Cena attacked Cody. He has him on the floor. I guess he's smacking him with the 6/11 belt, right? And I guess the blood, he smears the blood of the belt onto him. So there's basically telling you there's going to be blood smeared everywhere. Something, I don't know. I didn't see it,
let's
but
add
I
on to
heard
it.
about it.
Trump was shot at 6:11 p.m. Like this code is pretty clear, and so the fake blood is just part and parcel.
Yeah, and don't forget they did when the bells are ringing, it's warning something, right? And remember they sounded the bells when he said a moment of silence at 6:11.
Yeah, 84 days later in Butler, they rang the bell and moment of silence, and they sang Ave Maria, which is highly significant if you look at the predictive programming in the Batman movie, because the Riddler, who looked just like Thomas Crooks, sang that song in the movie. But anyway, great find here. Very interesting find here. Last time you called, we talked about Wizard of Oz and how the Wicked Witch is played by an actress who has Elvis's birthday. And it's the Wicked Witch who EMPs the Emerald City. And Seattle is the Emerald City. So we've had a ton of foreshadowing and stuff just in recently.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, and there was another real weird thing because I know you talked about Captain America a few times. Because anything to do with America, something happening, it's connected. There was a movie theater. The ceiling collapsed. Did you hear about this?
Uh, are you kidding me? No, no, no. And this is for the Captain America movie?
Yeah, yeah, and it was in Washington State.
Okay, let me add on to this. Okay, so theater
It,
collapses during Captain America screening in Washington. And there's video. Okay, this is big. Because so Captain America, the trailer came out just before Trump was shot. It has Harrison Ford as the president getting shot at the podium. And because it was so close, they redid their trailer. But in it, Harrison Ford becomes the Red Hulk, which is obviously Trump becoming full-blown MAGA extremist. So you already have Captain America predicted programming for the Trump assassination attempt, and it happened at the same time as the shooting. And the movie just came out, and then in Washington, the theater ceiling caves in. This is obviously a controlled demo.
right, and it was 6 months, 11. Oh, check. Well, let me just say this before I tell you that. It was on 225 after 8 p.m. supposedly. I don't. It was sometime at the very late at night on 225. Okay, so we're in the year 225, in between 225 and 226. I mean, 2025, 2026, but it happened on 225. But the story didn't come out till the next day, which was 226. And on 226, you had all those other things happen with Gene Hackman and that actress. But let me just say this: the story came out the next day on 226, and that's 6 months, 11 days after Elvis's death date. It was exactly 6 months, 11 days. So.
Fascinating. That is fascinating. And a couple of things we can add too. So Harrison Ford is playing the president he gets shot at, and Harrison Ford's birthday was 7/13, which was the shooting date. Also the birth date of Julius Caesar, JC, and then Trump was portrayed as Julius Caesar, where he was killed at Caesar in the Park back in 2017. So there's a history of predictive programming where Trump is conveyed in the movie as Caesar. Even in that megalopolis, he's called Caesar. But in Captain America, again, president is shot at in a theater. So here's a theater, and it's
Wow.
Harrison Ford, which I think connects to Ford Theater, likely. But the fact of it is, they changed the trailer because of it, and he becomes the Red Hulk. So I think Red Hulk is MAGA, and he's opposed by Sidewinder. Sidewinder is played by the same actor who arranges the assassination of Caesar in Megalopolis, the same actor who opposes the Trump character Homelander in The Boys. So there's some heavy scripting with this Captain America
Well,
movie.
yeah, that's some great connections. But let me just say this before I forget, because did you see the Zelensky argument with Trump?
Yes.
Okay, just let me say this. Did you hear what Zelensky said to Trump about an ocean?
What did he say?
Well, he said because he goes well because I guess Trump was telling him how his people are dying and everything. He goes, well, you have beautiful, Zelensky says you have beautiful oceans, but soon what's coming to them is gonna come to you. He said to your oceans. He said
Ooh,
to
interesting.
Trump.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he's basically foreshadowing something coming to America in the oceans, and that's what we're talking about here. Something might happen in Washington State.
Well, I want to add on to
Um,
this really quick because ever since Oppenheimer came out, and we've been talking about this nuke narrative building up, there's been this clear association between that and Godzilla. Godzilla came out at the same time. Godzilla was based on the nuke. And so the Beast from the Sea and Godzilla's birth date was 11/3, which is also the date that the Wizard of Oz movie Wicked just came out originally. But the 11/3 date is the date of the One World Trade Tower and tons of predictive programming for Seattle getting the nuke. So Godzilla, Beast from the Sea, anything having to do with that, I think is likely building up toward whatever's going to happen in Washington State. And again, very significant that the theater for Captain America was in Washington State.
yeah, something. Yeah, these guys are really, you know, ramping up the predictive programming stuff. We'll see, man. We'll see. And I don't remember. I know I had another thing to say, but I can't remember. So, if there's any other questions, I'll let somebody else go on.
Yeah, let's see if anyone. Thanks for bringing this up here about the theater in Washington, Captain America. Again, that's huge, and the movie just came out. I need to go watch it just to see what else is in there. And then the belt with the soul, the 611 belt. That's crazy. And the Rock connections to Elvis. You're right. He's an Elvis obsessee. And there were some direct connections between him and Elvis, and the symbolism of the Rock, Black Rock, all these things are correlated, and it all ties into the Black Star and Elvis and El. So there's an occult subtext here that goes pretty deep. But appreciate all this
just
information.
Let me tell you what the
Yes.
theater was called.
Yeah, what was it called?
I'm sorry. Let me tell you it was called Liberty Cinema.
Okay, even
Another
better.
Liberty.
Liberty
Yeah,
Cinema. Good find. Good find. Because Liberty,
Yeah.
Statue of Liberty. Which, do you think the Statue of Liberty's face looks like Elvis?
Well, I guess supposedly the old one did. That's what I used to show. So I don't know if that's the new one has been changed. I don't really, the new one is not as much as the older one. I don't know if they changed it or something. I'm not sure, but it does look like him, obviously, because I've shown the videos years ago. But
Well, the truth of it is, if you get into the symbolism, you could strongly correlate the Statue of Liberty with Lucifer. It's made of copper, green, Venus. Venus is associated with copper and green, like Mars is iron and red. And so it has all this, the iconography of Venus, and Venus and Lucifer are correlated for a few reasons. And so if you were making the case that Elvis represented the physical embodiment and incarnation of Lucifer, it would make sense. It would make sense to have
well,
this
that's what I'm
visage.
saying.
Yeah.
That Elvis is the representation of Lucifer, and that's what this whole yeah. But let me just say that someone's asking in the chat. By the way, hi to everybody in the chat. God bless all of you. But listen to this. There was somebody, I guess, a bunch of trolls from some channel came to my channel telling me that they wanted me to call into some troll channel. So because they kept bugging me, so I was like, finally, I just called in, right? And so some troll named, have you ever heard of this guy named Ghost Politics?
I listened to him this morning on Rumble, and I try to listen to it. He made fun of my artwork for a minute, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I try to keep up with it. He sounds like Chris Farley. What do you think?
Yeah, that's what I said. He sounds like Chris Farley and Alex Jones put together.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly who he is. It's like if Alex Jones was doing Chris Farley or Chris Farley was doing Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's what I told him. But you didn't hear him on my channel, did you?
No, I didn't hear him on your channel, but I heard about it, and somebody sent me the link.
Oh, you saw me arguing with him?
Yeah, I was watching it this morning over breakfast.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Did you hear all that guy's crazy, man. That is a nut.
Yeah, I'm going to go finish watching it, but I have to say, Rumble has the most disgusting commercials. You play a video, and you're looking at somebody's skin disorder and some cream they're selling, and it's like some zoomed in picture. Rumble is just gross. But yeah, I don't know if I picked up any fans from him showcasing my work, but yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. All right, man. If you have anything, just say it in the chat and I'll call back.
Sounds good. Thanks for the call, and thanks for the info as always. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, now this is interesting. This whole thing is interesting. Movie theater ceiling collapses during Captain America showing. And again, I'll bring this up. Central Washington State historic theaters collapse at Liberty Cinema, 8 p.m., 150 miles east of Seattle. So east of Seattle, movie theater ceiling collapses. It was built in 1919. Temporarily closed. The movie theater shooting, the one back in, was it 2013? The Dark Knight Rises. When that shooting happened, there was a trailer on for a movie about gangsters who were in a movie theater shooting through the screen at the people. Like these things are all closed movie sets, and these movie theater psyops are likely easy to pull off. But no, that's an interesting one there in itself. The Liberty, Captain America. Like, it's not hard to put this together. And the Statue of Liberty's been showing up in the Metascript in a few different ways. Paris Olympics, you had the post-nuke apocalypse Statue of Liberty from Planet of the Apes. There were some Mountain Dew cans, Liberty Chill, where the crown's fallen off. So that's not insignificant. And again, this has a direct connection here between Trump, 6/11, Harrison Ford as Trump, and the 7/13 shooting, all kind of tied in with this drama with WWE. And the Paris Olympics also had an opening band called Gojira. Gojira is Godzilla. It's the Japanese name. So this theme of the nuke and Paris, Godzilla, Gojira, all correlated. And then as they were playing, you had Marie Antoinette holding her own head. So you had this like French Revolution illusion there. And I mean, Tom Cruise jumps down from the roof, Paris Olympics, 42 meters. Likely some significance here. Erica Creech says, why are we not talking about the hip hop murder in Memphis and Diddy? The entire entertainment is ridiculous. Yeah, so is Diddy just sort of like another Epstein situation? Is anything here true? Or are these, is it just another version? Is it another type of a psyop? Like these are, I think these are psyops. I find it to be very, very questionable. A lot of people are looking at Gene Hackman. That's what I wanted to ask JL about. What do you think about Gene Hackman? Because he's always talking about the code with the names and the name man being a part of a code. And so some people think that Gene Hackman, Gene Hackers, that maybe there's some kind of transhumanism here being inferred with this actor's, I guess, headlines. I don't know. I mean, is it an extraordinary claim that you had these 3 deaths if you count the dog? Yeah. There's something going on, I'm sure. But what's the story? When I look at Gene Hackman from a Metascript perspective, I think Lex Luthor. And I only think this because on 7/11, there's a new Superman coming out. So what was the story with Gene Hackman in Superman? Was there any transhumanism elements? Infinite Plane Radio.
Well, no, I have to call back now that you mentioned Gene Hackman, because every time I told you that when you see the man in the story, you know it's one of those unbelievable stories, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's one of the codes.
Right. So, so what's the chance of this guy being involved in now is supposed not so, because they're saying that he didn't die from that, right? The monoxide poisoning, carbon monoxide.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's a mystery, but if he dies, his wife dies, and the dog's dead in the closet, the door is unlocked, and they don't know if he was dead for days or possibly weeks, but the news just dropped. And so immediately I'm thinking JL, Hackman, Gene sounds like Gene Hacker. So is there some kind of a subtext here? But I don't know. My mind went to Lex Luthor.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, I don't know anything about that, but you know all that. But the Gene... Obviously, when you think about Gene, of course, you're thinking about the DNA, but you're thinking about Elvis's genes, Levi's, and he died 6 months. I mean, the story broke 6 months, 11 days after Elvis's death, because that's when 226 is. And that's the first attack of the Twin Towers happened 15 years, 6 months, 11 days after Elvis's death. 6 months, 11 days. The first time Twin Towers was attacked was on 2/26, 1993.
Now, let me bring this up really quick because you'll know this. That movie Daybreakers came out on Elvis's birthday. The character played by William Dafoe is called Elvis, and his blood saves the world. So this idea of Elvis's genes, it's all kind of intrinsic to this story. The blood of Elvis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And in the movie, he gets saved through water. In that Daybreakers, he gets saved through water. He realizes that's how he got saved, and then they use him to save others like him, And Elvis is the cure. Like, he's the one that helps everyone understand how to do it, and it came out on January 8th, the film, and his name is Elvis and he's playing, isn't he playing the devil? or vampire. I forget.
Yeah,
Now I can't remember what he's playing.
it's this vampire, but he's like some kind of like he's a vampire who got his humanity back by staring at the sun and jump-starting his heart. Phoenix symbols all over the place. I mean, that movie's crazy. Daybreakers came out in 2009, and it was about a global plague that started with a bat. I mean, how predictive is that?
Yeah, and the reason I say Satan is because the first time you see William Dafoe, who plays Elvis in there, he jumps out of a tree. And you know what? The tree is the serpent in the garden. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Like, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, so the William Dafoe, you know how I know it's all connected to Elvis, this dude. He's also, he got his Hollywood star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame on January 8th.
And didn't he
Just like last year.
Passion of the Christ, wasn't he Jesus?
And he played the devil, the Antichrist, in another movie.
That's right. That's right. That kind of abstract movie. That's correct. Fascinating.
Yep. There you go. There you go.
And Green Goblin,
Yep.
whatever
Anyway.
that means. But anyway, yeah, this is thank you for that
Well,
callback. I was hoping you would comment on Gene Hackman.
Yeah, and hack the man, like you said. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Yep. And look, what we're talking about here is it's really just literature. You look at the world stage, the stories that come out, and the use of names, the use of numbers and symbolism. It's all there, and these are a lot of it's literary technique. Some of it seems like inside jokes, but we've often noted significance of names as they relate to their role on the world stage. Sometimes it's more obvious than others, but when it comes to celebrity deaths, it's never safe to assume it happened as reported. I mean, maybe he died years ago. Maybe he's still alive. How do you know? We know these are lifetime actors, and depending on how enmeshed they are, they may or may not be used as part of the fictional history that is presented to the public in a never-ending series of psyops. What do you think psyops are for? Every fake news event that steers the main narrative is allowing the power elite total creative control over your world view and over history. They are writing history day by day. Imagine the immense power of this, to lie to billions. And it's not that all the news is fake. Nobody would say that. Only people who create straw men make these types of bad arguments about media skeptics. We're not saying all news is fake. We're saying all news is compromised. Sure, all media is centrally controlled at some level, but the fakery only has to be a small percentage, and it just gets all the attention, takes all the air from the room. It steers everything. So even the real news marches in lockstep with the fakery. And this is how I can make the case that a lot of people are lowercase l liars. They're lying along unwittingly because it's just conformity. Erica Creech says, Gene and jeans, Levi, Elvis, stretch in my stretch jeans. Yeah, look, the jeans thing is intriguing. I mean, you have to remember too, Elvis got the polio shot, was it on Bill Gates' first birthday, that date, 10/28, which has a lot of significance to these stories. But Elvis's role in this story is just, it's intriguing and it's unignorable. We were watching Francis Ford Coppola's latest movie, and he alluded to it coming true, Rome falling. But it has a scene with Elvis in it, which just comes out, it's like he's just performing Trump's inauguration song wrapped in an American flag. Just totally bizarre. But you have to look beyond the surface. What does Elvis represent? And it seems to be something related to this fallen angel archetype. All right, Deprogram says, I got called away for 15 minutes. Did I miss anything? One of the more interesting tidbits to come out today is this thing about the ceiling collapses at the Liberty Theater in Washington during a screening of Captain America, Brave New World. And by the way, the title of today's live stream, The Left Marches Forth. March 4th, there's going to be some nationwide protests by the left. And I called this out back when Luigi Mangione fired the shot. I said, this is kicking off class warfare. And what have we seen since? They're even calling it class war. But March 4th is some national protest against Trump. And it's coming from the left. It seems like we're repeating a lot of 2019. But March 4th was the date the Batman movie came out. The Joker, the Boston bomber, had his death penalty reinstated that date. But I remember noting that date in the Batman movie, saying this is when we're seeing the pendulum swing. The extremism on the right will be showcased. Well, now it seems like the pendulum's swinging the other way. Now that the right wing got its wish, they have their leader, they're the establishment. Now we get to see the left come out and burn trash cans and make a lot of noise. All right, let's continue here. Farmer Gianni says, where's Dallas Goldbug when you need him? I wonder who else he's been playing on the world stage. Yeah, Dallas Goldbug had I think a flawed methodology, but I think he was correct in his thesis. I mean, he coined the phrase actor-driven reality. He recognized how actors play a huge role in advancing various psyops. But his contention was that you have actors who are getting cosmetic surgery and playing politicians or playing other roles. And I think where he's wrong here is that it wouldn't be cosmetic surgery, because he's trying to use biometrics. He's measuring, like he's looking at veins on the hand, saying this person is that person, or the ears are the same. But I think what he may have been doing unwittingly, or perhaps it was his task, is effacing the hyper-realistic masks, the skin suits, the stuff that was classified, but that Jonah Mendez, director of disguise at CIA, talked about in 2015 after it was declassified. I think the idea of clones and what Goldbug discussed were likely misdirection lines. Yes, Piano, Gene Hackman and Superman, the significance. That's what I'm wondering. I was thinking maybe there's some significance to his Lex Luthor role in that Superman movie. And I'm trying to remember, was there any kind of transhumanism subtext there? And was that the original Superman with Christopher Reeves? Let's see if I can get a synopsis really quick. Lex uses his own DNA combined with the strand of Superman's hair stolen from a museum to create a hybrid clone, which he dubs Nuclear Man. The radioactive villain possesses abilities similar to Superman, but receives his power from sunlight, whereas Superman can operate in the darkness. So there I kind of called it. I suggested that Gene Hackman, because of the proximity of this incoming Superman movie, it's like a Superman reboot coming out in July 11th. I thought Gene Hackman on the world stage, his most identifiable role, I think he's associated strongly with Lex Luthor. And so again, Lex DNA hacking, this is kind of a plot. There may be something more to it. Fascinating. Anyway, I don't take any of these celebrity deaths, if they're highly publicized, if there's any intrigue, I don't take them as anything more than some kind of plot twist. The introduction of some subtext. Link for press passes. Yes. Go to, I'll put the link in the chat, or go to Ko-Fi.com. Actually, it's insider.shop. INCITER, insider.shop, which is where you will be ordering the tabloid. The issue 2 is going to be forthcoming. And it does seem to be, we have a few more press passes. I have some of them here in stock, so if you order them, I will send them out tomorrow. And here you can get a look at these. If you have a press pass, you're unlock downable. And what that means is if there's fallout, if there's another scamdemic, since you're media and you're engaged in reportage and observation, you can go ahead and ignore the lockdown rules and regs. It's a freedom pass. Kevin Mooring says, the last shocking thing I did see was Bill Murray didn't know who Joe Rogan was. Wow. Must be nice. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a problem with Joe Rogan. I think he's just a podcaster in a certain space, just a propagandist, a guard railer with predictable opinions or opinions that are within due bounds. But I don't look at him as a betrayer. So they think there's some kind of betrayal here. The truthers are like, well, he knew the moon landing was fake and he turned his back on it. And to his credit, he has turned back around on that and suggested that the moon landing was fakeable. However, that's not to say that he's actually interested in the question of what is really happening. But yeah, how did he not know Joe Rogan existed? Joe Saunders says, I just found out Garth Brooks was Chris Gaines. Yeah, that was not a huge conspiracy, but there is a conspiracy that as Chris Gaines, Garth Brooks was a serial killer. Has anyone looked into this? That it seems like wherever Chris Gaines toured, women would disappear. Here we go. He comes off as a serial killer, Chris Gaines and the Missing Bodies. There's an old conspiracy theory that Chris Gaines, the alter ego of Garth Brooks, was a serial murderer, and everywhere he performed, there was a murder with a similar MO. Where are the bodies, Garth? Oh, this reminds me. I watched that Netflix show on Gabby Petito, and I'm working on a 30-minute IPR deep dive on why I think she's not dead and why I think it was just a movie. I think start to finish, the whole Gabby Petito production was like a reality TV show, and now it's a Netflix show. And one of the big takeaways for me was that the entire thing was a movie about a live streamer doing van life. It in no way was conveyed, or did it convince me at all, that this was like an authentic live streamer building up content while on the road. It always had the look of being a movie about. And then you find out that she and her two brothers were in a music video called Irreplaceable, which was about Sandy Hook. So you have this direct Sandy Hook to Gabby Petito pipeline here. Like, okay, well, you're talking about multi-million-dollar psychological operations. And the Gabby Petito thing looked like a movie. Penguinati Auto Hoaxer says, I like JL better back when he was playing his Chris Farley role. That was awesome. It's kind of funny. I was listening to JL talking to that guy, Ghost, whatever his name is, and the guy literally sounds like Chris Farley. Mazel says, interesting. There's body cam. I think most body cams are poorly acted skits. Yeah, it looked like LARPing. They pull her over. They pull over the van, and Petito's there. But I look at it from multiple angles, and so from the production angle, it looks like a movie. It looks like a bunch of crisis actors. The subtext of it has correlations between Gabby and the name Gabby. World stage names. What is Gab? Somebody talks a lot. Gabby is just somebody who talks into her camera. She's a live streamer. And she's correlated with Virgo. And I think the story is actually the story of Persephone being kidnapped and taken into the underworld at the autumn equinox, which is about the time they find her bones. Joe Saunders says, so Gabby was in the Sandy thing, grew up, they used her again, now she looks different probably. Right, exactly. I would imagine that she played a role there, that she's in that circle. And this is not an uncommon thing. We find connections between different psyops. Sometimes the actors. Sometimes you'll see the same crisis actor at a different event. This used to be a common thing. Not so much now, but maybe you just got to look deeper. We had Maui fires. Same chief of police was chief of police in Vegas during the 10/1/2017 Harvest Festival psyop. So you have to, and another angle of attack here that I've been investigating is look at the reporters who report on the big psyops and start to strip away plausible deniability. Who had to have been in the know that this event was fake? Who could plausibly claim to be unaware of it? And you could kind of start to draw a Venn diagram and you can see, okay, there's a hierarchy here. We exist in a a world that's run by a secret society, security clearance society is a better way of putting it. But it's a need to know basis. And you can kind of ascertain here who has the security clearance to be participating in Department and Homeland Security psyops presented as news. Who's in the know? I would say that Steven Guttenberg is in the know. Steven Guttenberg was there, the face of the LA fires, rescuing people, moving cars, except for the electric cars. And it was like a scene right out of Lavalantula, about lava spewing giant tarantulas setting Los Angeles on fire. And Gutenberg saved the day. Yeah, Steven Gutenberg, if you haven't seen it, he was the face of that event. If you can believe that he was helping the fire department. And I said this before, that crisis acting is the new Hollywood, that it's like almost a status symbol. Like, look at the actors, the caliber of actors who get to be mouthpieces for big psyops. Tom Hanks, Mel Gibson. So Mel Gibson, was he on Joe Rogan while his house was burning in those fires? Mel Gibson was the director of Flight Risk that had just come out. And Flight Risk had predictive programming for the AA flight hitting the Black Hawk. It had predictive programming for all the planes falling since. So Flight Risk, which had Mark Wahlberg. I saw this embarrassing video with Mark Wahlberg, by the way. He went on to Ellen DeGeneres, and she said, "Oh, you can do, how many pull-ups can you do?" He said he could do 40. So he's an actor who plays like he's fit. Because I saw this video where Mark Wahlberg does these half pull-ups, doesn't even bring his chin up to the bar. His head doesn't even reach the bar. It's just like jerking himself a little bit up and down on the bar, like awkward. Like it's not even one counted. It was pathetic. And she kind of said, well, now do them with proper form. But it's like, what kind of yes men is he surrounded by? Where they're giving him credit for bad pull-ups, and they let him get away with it for so long. But anyway, Flight Risk was a movie that we talked about that had a lot of correlations to the... and I said it too. I said, hey, this movie's coming out during the week of a lot of aerial immolations. And I use that phrase, aerial immolations, referencing Kobe, referencing, of course, the exploding helicopter, which was a theme again, the Challenger week. And so then, having watched the movie, because I said it was going to predict the next wave of aerial immolations, we had aerial immolations. And a lot of connections with the helicopter explosion. By the way, I mean, for one, that was done during a doomsday drill. So we have all these drills going on for a nuclear incident. And during this drill, for continuity of government, where they're evacuating some VIPs, during a drill, the helicopter gets hit by a plane. And prior to this, there were drills being done for rescuing people on the ice. And we looked at the photo, and the still shot of all these rescuers on the ice doing this drill looked like it was taken right off of the cover of that terrible Mel Gibson movie. And it wasn't that it was a terrible movie. I mean, it's just that it's propaganda. And it wasn't that complex. I'm not going to say it wasn't entertaining. I mean, these are the best entertainers that are recruited into this stuff. But the QAnoners have long thought that Mel Gibson was one of theirs. That he's an insider. He's a white hat. He's Donald Trump's ambassador to Hollywood. He's exposing Hollywood. Do you remember when Mel Gibson got pulled over by the cops and then he started ranting about Jews in Hollywood? So he's always been this conspiracy guy. Then he did the movie Conspiracy Theory. But also remember, he did Braveheart. And Donald Trump's staged assassination psyop of July 13th, 2024, it was staged to look like Braveheart, the Braveheart movie poster. It had Mel Gibson all over it. Mel Gibson movie Patriot came out before 9/11. And at the beginning of the movie, he's making a rocking chair and he weighs it. 9 pounds, 11 ounces. He sits on it and everybody in the room quiets. They quiet down. They look at him because they're expecting it to collapse. They're looking at him on the chair like they're expecting the chair to break. So he says, 9/11, that's perfect. And then the chair collapses and you're looking at the two chair legs. So you have this allusion to the Twin Towers collapsing. 9/11, Mel Gibson, Patriot. Again, what happened? Right after this, the land that he's on gets invaded. So you have the invasion happening after the collapse. You have this story of the Patriot now going to war. And then 9/11 happens for real. So when you see an actor who has roles that specifically foreshadow major psyops, you can rest assured this person is an insider, high up in the security clearance society, and they're not on your team. They're not one of yours. There are no white hats. Piano says, isn't G. Petito a name that matches iPet Goat in some way? Some people have anagrammatically connected Gabby Petito to iPet Goat, and I dislike iPet Goat. I don't know how relevant it is to anything. However, there are some scenes in there that are oddly reminiscent. Like the iconic scene, if you think of the main scene from iPet Goat, it's this one. It's the girl with the apple, or is it a pomegranate on the Masonic tile floor? And the reason why this is significant is that the pomegranate is associated with Persephone. And Gabby Petito has been strongly correlated with Virgo in a lot of her imagery, where she's got the wings behind her and she has one of her legs stepping forward. And Virgo is Persephone. And the whole story, it's the astrology and the story of the stars. And so it's about how she goes into the underworld during the dark half of the year, during fall, winter, during the fall. And so Gabby Petito being kidnapped by Brian Laundrie is kind of analogous to Persephone being taken to Hades. So there's the kidnapping story, the underworld story. And again, they found her body. First of all, she was, I think, reported dead. Was it 9/11? But her body was found a couple of days before the autumn equinox. So there's a Persephone connection here. iPet Goat, Petito, perhaps. All right, moving on. So we talked about NASA astronaut Don Petit falling into his pants. Again, they're doing magic tricks. That's pretty much what they're about. Okay, so someone posted this Synchromorpheus posted this in Discord. If you have not seen Megalopolis, he got some kind of, it says, Francis Ford Coppola roasts gutless Hollywood after worst director wins. The industry is terrified of risk. So Megalopolis is crowded. I'm not really a movie critic in that sense. I mean, I'm watching the stuff for the propaganda value, but it was a lot to take in. I probably wouldn't have watched it if I didn't have a specific reason to. But once I started, I took notes because it is scene by scene. It is nothing but a foreshadowing. It is a movie. It is a movie intended to feed into the meta script, like Kubrick levels of symbolism here. So if you want to know the future, watch Megalopolis. Megalon was about Trump. Magellan, make Rome great again. The character who plays Caesar is based on Trump, although John Voight played a character who visibly looked like Trump, had a golden statue of himself and a bunch of spoiled kids. But Megalopolis has the idea of a Russian satellite falling to Earth, 9/11's New York. It ties in elements of the Matrix, of Dark City, of time control through media control and writing history of empires falling. And at the very beginning, it talks about the empire falling, and then you have the scene of space junk with the Statue of Liberty behind it. So Liberty collapsing, the Liberty Theater, all of it's pretty much in this movie. But in the movie, the character portraying Trump is signing a book, signing an autograph, and an assassin shoots him, and his right eye gets shot out. So you have that symbolism, the right eye stuff. I mentioned this movie earlier because of the weird Elvis connection. But another reason why this movie is significant is that he had to take a scene out because it was so reminiscent of 9/11 from the original script, because the movie was going to come out around that time. In fact, on 9/11/2001, they were actually filming in Manhattan. And some of that footage from 9/11/2001 is included in the movie. Deprogrammed Truther, could you imagine a flow chart with all this connected information? Yeah, I've been doing mind maps on this stuff. In fact, one of my mind maps was stolen, which I don't know what they're going to do with it. A painting Went to a customer. It was stolen from their front porch. And I included as a secret gift kind of in the painting. I just sneaked it in there. I did this mind map of everything connecting 9/11 to all the different movies and directors. And it was maddening, but it was all perfectly connected. It was a flow chart. We'll see if it shows up somewhere. But I've been working on various flowcharts based on and mind maps based on events, characters, directors, authors, and archetypes, breaking it down into these components. It's almost like a game at this point. I think Leo Pirate uses the phrase gamification of the news. Anyway, Megalopolis, there's an interview that Francis Ford Coppola did after the fact where he says something about this is going to happen soon, and it's about the fall of Rome. Gladiator 2 came out recently. Also, fall of Rome. Make Rome great again. All right, let's move on. There's just so much to take apart with that particular movie. I guess one other example of Francis Ford Coppola, he's got the Godfather series, which have some assassination themes. We were talking about this recently because the season finale of The Sopranos, season 1, somebody shoots at Tony Soprano, and he's holding orange juice, which references Francis Ford Coppola's scene where the oranges fall into the road after a failed assassination attempt. But the bullet goes through Tony Soprano's ear. Joined by Kick Team. Thank you for joining. It looks like they're sending their bots over here. Donna South says, Elon has it. He stalks you. Did you see his chainsaw? Yeah, I saw Elon Musk hanging out with Robin Williams, waving around a chainsaw, wearing some glasses. He's a walking meme. So here's some new information. Hackman death investigation. The wife's body was found in the bathroom by an orange prescription bottle. Scattered pills on the floor. This is why I think it's a psyop. Okay, so there's a murder investigation. Why do the details, why does the evidence get published? Why does it get put out there in the public before the person has been caught? Like, this is a crime scene. Why is it becoming headline news with this level of detail? But an orange prescription bottle. Good to know it was orange. I don't know what that means, but these just seem like interesting details. A German Shepherd dead in the bathroom. Canine, not sure the significance of it. But the timing of it, as JL said, a significant number of days, 6 months, 11 days from Elvis's death day. The death in the bathroom could be a connection. I put out a video, Animate the South Pole Way. If anyone's keeping up with South Pole, again, a reminder, the premiere is available if you buy a ticket to South Pole, which finances the animation, but it gets released to members. So if you're a member, you'll get it on Wednesday. If you're not a member, it'll be released to the public a few days after that. We're already working on number 2. And if you want to be involved in the production of South Pole as a writer or animator, or if you want to learn the various techniques of the software we're using, we have a Discord server for it, so just get into Gilded and you will get in there. March 4th against tyranny. March 4th, 50 states, 50 protests, 1 movement. Freedom March against oppression and dictatorship. And here's the Statue of Liberty prominently displayed on this. This one's for somewhere in Georgia. Dinah says the video portion with you is flickering, not the screen. You know, it's probably the camera. I got to replace it. I imagine it's probably the USB. I'm probably kicking the wire. Yeah, March 4th. So the Epstein thing was a nothing burger. Here's some more details. Breaking. Drano, that's DC Drano, libs of TikTok, and others were seen leaving the White House with Epstein files. So here you have these right-wing media influencers waving around files, these folders from the FBI. But people are asking, why did they get the information? Why wasn't it open sourced? Why do these clickbait grifters get the information first? Well, Laura Loomer said to all the social media influencers who are at the White House, how come you're running cover for pedos? Every single one of you has not shared the files. Why are you protecting them? Why are you covering up? Post screenshots of every page. So Loomer comes out suggesting that these guys are covering it up. And by the way, Laura Loomer is in the Netflix show The Madness as a character, Lauren Jennings, who gets killed with a nerve agent that is designed to look like a heart attack. And Elon Musk is the billionaire in that movie who gets assassinated. So just a heads up here. She goes on to say there were no Epstein files. The binders were props. All these right-wing paid influencers lied to you. This is a deception. Now, I don't think she's correct here. I don't think they're covering anything up. I think that there's just a nothing burger that they were milking a little bit. Now we have this. Woody Harrelson in Last Breath. New movie based on a real event of people trapped underwater. Kevin Mooring says, this reminds me of the ISS rescue that's taking place. Make every breath count. So what's the significance to this one? Woody Harrelson has some conspiracy bona fides. His father was, I guess, arrested, jailed, imprisoned for killing a judge. And he was also alleged to be one of the 3 hobos at the JFK assassination. So you have the JFK assassination, and they said that these 3 hobos on a bridge. Woody Harrelson's father is connected to this. And then Woody Harrelson was in the movie Fly Me to the Moon with Scarlett Johansson and Channing Tatum about NASA faking the moon landing to trick the Russians and win the space race. Interesting timing. Woody Harrelson has always been, kind of associated with these conspiracy theories in this way, but also in that movie, he's part of a government department that is higher than the president. So in Fly Me to the Moon, Nixon doesn't know they're faking the moon landing. Oh, check this out. Robbie Davidson has left the flat earth. Now, in my opinion, he already left it. He left the flat earth at that conference when he protected Jake Bird, who is Jimmy Kimmel's comedian who went undercover, pretended to be a flat earther. Jake Bird groped somebody, and this was going to be reported to the police. Robbie Davidson stopped her from making the call. It's kind of an old story, but he kind of ran. He literally ran across the street. He didn't go back to the conference, and nobody had heard from him since. So I kind of thought he ran off the side of the earth a long time ago, off the edge. Robbie Davidson, after much thought, research, and consideration, I've come to a new conclusion about the shape of the earth. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I wish to act with integrity. I have changed my opinion based on new information that has been presented in Antarctica from the final experiment. I have not been paid, threatened, or compromised in any way. And he has a tombstone that says Flat Earth. Let's see here. Gondola Wish says, what was the deal with Isaac Cappy? Was he part of the operation? I went to the Isaac Cappy death scene, that bridge, 22 feet high, off Route 66. I don't think that's a suicide height. But I thought the body cam footage from the cops looked fake. I don't think any of it was real. The Isaac Cappy, Tom Hanks back and forth, it all seemed like QAnon drama. At this point, I'm just over it. If it's Q related, it's fake. Whatever happened to Save the Children? Nobody's talking about Save the Children anymore. That was 2015. They're all Democrats now of voting age because you didn't rescue them on time. Virtual Reality Witness says, Robbie Davidson has always been a grifting shill. Yeah, I remember one of the main stories about him, and this was detailed in a podcast by JLB, but Robbie Davidson had driven across the country with a Bitcoin raffle where you give him money and you get put into a raffle to win the Jeep that he's driving across the country. Like you want to get into somebody's car after they drive across the country selling raffle tickets for cryptocurrency. But he got all the money, and I think the problem was there was no evidence that the Jeep had been given to anybody. And the person who got the Jeep didn't really post a video saying, hey, look what I won because I took part in this guy's raffle. So that was kind of grifty. And then after the flat earth, I noticed that he and a few other people like Paul on the Plane and others were now pushing some crypto called Axion. So now they went away from flat earth and now they're like crypto earthers. They went from flat earther to conference earther to crypto earthers. And now he's back to globe earther. It's a lot of changes in a short amount of time. Not very stable. I've had a stable position since I started this channel. I always said the globe model is premature. I don't have enough information to conclude that the globe model is complete. Until I know what they're hiding behind space fakery, I cannot say we have enough information to say it is a closed system. It's an open system till proven otherwise. IPS means the idea of infinite plane society is infinite until proven otherwise. And the finitude of Earth has not been demonstrated because outer space has completely been fabricated. So if the globe model is premature, then what are we to say about the flat Earth model? It's premature. There never was a flat Earth model, and there isn't a globe Earth model. Globers and flatties are in the same box. Both of them have put the cart in front of the horse. Gondola says, is Terry Gilliam a Metascript writer? Well, I am in the business of identifying Metascriptors. Let's see what he has produced. Brazil at 40, more prescient than Orwell. An American-British filmmaker, comedian, animator, actor. Monty Python. Okay, so let me take a look. Oh, is he part of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Did he direct it? Let me check out his filmography, but in all likelihood. Oh, look, he was born on 11/22. I'll take a look at his filmography, but there are people who are contributors to the World Stage Theater who may not be in the know. You don't have to be. But this latest article, okay, 12 Monkeys. Okay, 12 Monkeys, I would say, yeah. Okay, there's something here. Parmigiani says, why is the Flat Earth ship jump email all the same? I haven't read it, but anybody jumping off the Flat Earth model, yeah, that's the right thing to do. But it doesn't mean you jump onto the ball. That was a either or fallacy from the beginning. It's either this or that. No. How about we don't know? How about we don't have enough information? And when they present this particular model that was a straw man from the beginning, it's like, well, why would anybody be attached to it? The only thing the final experiment accomplished was burning a straw man. And if you were falling for that straw man and you took it seriously and you built your whole life around it, then you're a dupe or an agent. So Robbie Davidson, I should also point out, did a 6-part documentary called The Globe Earth Lie with a man named Philip Stallings. Philip Stallings started the Biblical Flat Earth Society. Philip Stallings, Rob Skiba, allegedly dead of COVID. So Philip Stallings, Rob Skiba, and Robbie Davidson created a 6-part video series about the flat Earth. Does anybody here know what happened with Philip Stallings? And let me also add that Robbie Davidson put Joshua Swift, Authentic Intent, on the stage at his conference. So why am I bringing this up? Oh, well, Joshua Swift was a pedo on parole the entire time, and they knew about it. And he was interviewed by the Daily Beast. And Philip Stallings is in prison for life because of the content he was creating involving children. So how is one guy connected with multiple child predators? I find that to be very questionable. Not to mention just the regular sex offenders. Oh, okay, Farmer says, I'm saying copy pasted from the aforementioned Patricia Steer. I haven't checked. If anybody went from Ball Earth skeptic to Ball Earth believer because of the final experiment, they made a logical leap. They took a leap of faith. And I think what they're doing here is they're accepting a model and then letting their cognitive bias build up evidence for it, flat or round. The model first approach is fallacious. You don't have enough information. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I'm shape ambivalent. I actually don't care at the moment. I'm considering here the more important question, open or closed system. And the flat earth is a closed system, especially the flat earth Bible model, closed system. Ball earth, closed system. Okay, I'll check out her emails. I'm interested to see. I want to see all the shape traders. Let's get all the shape traders on a list. Isn't that what we would do if this was a cult? If like flat earth was a cult? Got to find the shape traders, make an example out of them. And Jaronism's take on it, in my view, is kind of immature. He's mad at people who don't believe him. And he's attacking the very audience he cultivated for their skepticism. And what's more, the skepticism is still valid. No matter what they found in Antarctica, the skepticism regarding NASA and the implications that has for our cosmography are still valid. That skepticism needs to be maintained. We don't suddenly say, okay, now I believe in moon landings, because Witsit Spitsit went to Antarctica with McToon and recorded the sun. And I'm not even saying that they did this in some kind of a studio or that they faked it. I'm not even trying to argue that it's fakeable, although it probably is. If you consider the budget NASA has, tell me what isn't fakeable. All right, everyone, appreciate you showing up. This is the time it's going to be, 6 to 8 p.m. Mountain Time, pretty much every single day. We had a great call from Jurassic Liars about this World Wrestling Entertainment ritual involving a belt with the date 6/11, The Rock with all of his weird Elvis associations, and the Liberty Theater collapsing in Washington during Captain America, which totally connects with the Trump head wound because it's the president Harrison Ford's playing who gets shot at. Harrison Ford becomes the Red Hulk, which I think represents MAGA, and he's opposed by Sidewinder, who I think represents Obama. So this is a very Metascript-rich environment. Tons of psyops going on. Then we have, yes, private company Firefly Aerospace and their Blue Ghost lands on the moon and takes a picture of the Earth, and it looks too small. Piano says Cappy in Hebrew is KPY, which means jump. Well, if you don't know the story with Cappy, 42 days before he was found dead, Tom Hanks was being accused by Cappy of being a child predator, an adrenochrome junkie. So Tom Hanks was like top tier QAnon villain. And Cappy is saying that this stuff's all true. Well, Tom Hanks posts a picture of roadkill next to a glove and a bottle cap on Route 66. Just some weird Instagram post. And he has many. He's constantly photographing like children's shoes and garments on the ground. Like, oh, look, here's a little girl's dress in an alley behind a dumpster. Like really creepy stuff. He's like very serial killer-ish. Well, he posts this picture of roadkill and a glove and a cap. 42 days later, Isaac Cappy ends up dead on Route 66, like roadkill. And he actually gets hit by a truck after he's thrown off the bridge. allegedly thrown off the bridge by two individuals who claim that they were trying to stop him from jumping. None of it adds up. So some believed that Tom Hanks and Chet Hanks threw Cappy off the bridge. Now, there was a video from a military police vehicle dash cam that showed Cappy on the bridge. It looked fake. Honestly, I thought the whole Cappy thing was fake and unbelievable. He was interviewed by some guy named Lift the Veil slightly before. Big shill channel, in my opinion. Anybody pushing QAnon, Epstein files, I just think these are all just disinformation agents. All right, everyone. This is Chief Crow, Ball Earth Cult. Again, if you go to your newsletter, there's a link if you want to watch the new South Pole, or you can wait until Wednesday. Either way, I want to say thanks to everyone who purchased the tickets originally, because there's some software that we put to use that will be in use for the entirety of the season. So we're on season 4 of South Pole. If you haven't seen it yet, you'll see it on Wednesday. This is Ball Earth Cult.
Charles Manson, ranch dressing, goat heads with the number 9. It is so divine with the holy grail, shape of the snail, the Fibonacci, sound of the conch. Third eye rainbow swastika in my pine cone like a dirt bike goes. Third eye rainbow swastika in my pine cone like a dirt bike goes. Third eye rainbow swastika in my pine cone like a dirt bike goes. And cream, you make that dough, the symbol show, euthanasia, nightmare hippie girl, blue wrench, flippy Illuminati, get the VIP, cause I'm a 33. A bunch of important numbers, 3, a bunch of important numbers, 42, a bunch of important numbers, 481, a bunch of important numbers, 5, a bunch of important numbers, 0, a bunch of important numbers, 9, a bunch of important numbers, 23, a bunch of important numbers, 7, a bunch of